Welcome to Africa on the Move in partnership with DW. My name is Funmi Unuajefe. On this program, we'll be focusing on different people across the continent and how their stories and their action impact on every one of us. This week, we'll be taking a look at how people are empowering and changing lives in their own little way. First up, Namibia. Samuel Kapopo, a former thug turned motivational speaker and actor, is feeding the children on the streets of Namibia. Let's take a look.
I grew up in a really luckless life where life was not good for me, where I grew up without no parents, where I grew up without no food, I grew up without no proper education. So everything that you see was motivated and was inspired by a true story of my life. We have to work hard to bring up the donation. Sometimes we go in our own pockets to make it possible so the kids can eat.
A free meal attracts hundreds of children to Samuel's soup kitchen. But there are rules to follow. The kitchen teaches good hygiene, respect towards others, and discipline. Many of these children are orphans or have been neglected by their parents, just as Samuel was.
Some of the kids were born with HIV/AIDS. Some of those parents died because of HIV/AIDS. Some of the parents couldn't work because of HIV/AIDS. So the HIV/AIDS issue in Namibia has really contributed a big gap.
Samuel had a troubled childhood. As a result, he fell off the straight and narrow and joined a criminal gang.
I was shot, and the people who were saving me were kids. That's why I was motivated. Why the young kids has to save my life and elder people had to run away from me while I was sleeping in the sea of blood. So what happened is that then I decided to say, okay, enough is enough. Let me face the right direction.
More than 60,000 people live in Katutura, a suburb of Windhoek. In these overcrowded shelters, conditions are far from ideal for bringing up children. It's part of Samuel's job to secure the funding for this project from both private donors and companies. But without volunteers, the soup kitchen would not be able to operate.
I think it's a very good project because millions of kids here in Katutura, they are starving, even us. They are really starving there. I think the government doesn't really care about us here in Katutura. They know what's going on here, but they really don't care.
For now, the kitchen opens twice a week. The kids can play games here and read books in the storage room. One of the ways Samuel has raised money is through acting.
I went in the streets. I don't work, I don't do anything. I saw a pamphlet saying, looking for actors for certain movies, and I decided to take a chance. That's why I don't scared of trying something. And I went there and I was the luckiest guy. So this dream started from there.
Today, Samuel is a known actor and motivational speaker across the country, a fairy tale transition from street thug to role model that sadly isn't guaranteed for every child here. For the kids of Namibia's Katutura township, Samuel Kapopo is a role model, father figure, and superhero. The 30-year-old and his assistants provide warm meals for the kids twice a week. For most of the poverty-stricken children, it's not something they take for granted.
Samuel shows us that you can change lives one meal at a time. Well done, Samuel. Do you know that in Liberia, 63% of the young women there are illiterate? And when I mean the young women aged between 15 and 24. One woman sets out to empower school dropouts through fashion. Let's listen to her story.
Izata Pasewe has a busy schedule. The tailor isn't a regular seamstress. She is a fashion designer in her own right. The 33-year-old designs uniforms for several schools in Liberia. Her desire to help women brought her into this line of work.
Actually, what inspired me is looking at, more especially when it comes to women. I actually want to empower women because women play a major role in the society. Women are always vulnerable.
Rose Kase is currently being trained by Izata. The two women plan to tailor a variety of women's clothes to place them in several boutiques. Young women account for 40% of Liberia's population of 4.7 million. Most of them have no schooling. In Liberian society, vocational institutes offer alternatives to the traditional role of women. Not so long ago, Izata Pasewe was a trainee here. She graduated with a certificate in tailoring. Today, she trains these young women who dropped out of secondary school at an early age. They hope these classes will lead them to a career in tailoring as well. She teaches women how to build their future. Women who are not educated learn how to sew and how to do something. Since you are not going to get an office, you learn how to sew clothes and to be able to open your own shop. Izata and her friend Rose are visiting Kasawa Fashion House to see the owner. Tina Kapan runs the only fashion store in Monrovia out of a garage next to her house. Today, Izata Pasewe is here to show Tina Kapan her new designs. The seamstress wants her mentor to showcase and sell her clothes in the store.
It was time that Liberia come up with her own made in Liberia product, our own designs to identify with Liberia. Then I realized, okay, we need to have a school where, a fashion school, that we can mentor them in there too as well, guide them, through educating them on how the whole industry works.
This afternoon between classes, Izata is trying to get her business registered. To compete for major government contracts, she needs to have a registered legal entity, but the process is a headache. It takes an hour just for her to learn about the certificates needed and requirements she has to meet. She didn't even know of the existence of some of them.
It is difficult to get all of these requirements they want us to give them because some we don't even have, so the requirements are too many to register a business right now.
Izata Pasewe's dream is to rebuild Liberia's fashion industry, a dream that began right here in her two-bedroom house.
I'm like hungry.
So the next time you see a Liberian fashion piece, you understand the story behind it. Now, from Liberia, we head all the way to South Africa, where Theo Indindingwa, a young man, is creating opportunities for young dance talents across his country.
A day hardly goes by without Theo Indindwa dancing. After 6 successful years in the UK, the professional dancer, choreographer, and entrepreneur returned to his home country, South Africa. He and his wife came back with a mission: providing opportunities to South Africa's dance talents.
There's so much raw, young talent that is not really being trained for a specific, anything. And I think that we just saw that gap, that there are a lot of young people here who need this opportunity.
In 2007, Theo and his wife Tanya founded iKappa Dance Theatre. In their Cape Town studio, they teach ballet, modern, and African dance to students of all backgrounds. But iKappa is more than a dance school. Twice a week, Theo drives to Guguletu, a township that's 20 kilometers away from the city. This is the place where he spent most of his childhood. His former primary school is one of 4 dance venues iKappa runs in the townships. Lilita Tsuwa gets ready for dance class. The 9-year-old is an eager learner.
I like dancing because you can learn more things about ballet and gymnastics and everything.
Her grandmother is happy for various reasons.
They are safe, they are well looked after. Oh, I'm more than happy, you have no idea.
Keeping the kids away from the street is one of Theo's objectives. Having grown up in Guguletu himself gives him an advantage.
I'm a product of the township. I was trained in the township, so I understand being in the township before even starting to talk about the training. And I think that's also what sets us aside.
Identifying young talent like Lilita is a crucial part of Theo's work. Around 200 learners are attending the free dance classes in the townships. This year, the first 7 of his students applied to join the university. Behind all the fun is a serious purpose.
The end goal is some of them to be professionals. You know, they have to make a living and a life out of this. I've made a life out of dance, and I think that some of them have the potential to do the same.
Today's classes are over, but Theo's day is far from over. His next destination? A closed-down cement factory in the nearby Philippi Township. Theo wants to establish an art venue for his dance theater and for international artists. Soon, this should be an amphitheater.
The vision is to have this place being packed and live, live performances for the community, but also for audiences from all over the world to want to be here in this space.
Uniting people through arts is the main goal of Theo in Dindwa.
And still on dance, Sofiatu Kosoko believes in dancing with a resistance. Let's watch.
Dancing with Resistance is on today's programme. The École de Sable goes to great lengths to improve the dancing techniques of its students. We are dancing on sand. There is tons of it here. And the whole place, the setting, means that the students do everything to really immerse themselves in the bodywork.
On immerge dans le travail du corps, voilà.
They come from the Ivory Coast, Tanzania and Chad. 20 students from 15 African countries have been enrolled this year. Courses are taught in French and English. Eleven Navago comes from Chad, where there is no dance training. His commitment is obvious for all to see. All these dance techniques are new to me. I'm used to the European or disco dance styles. But here I've discovered modern contemporary dance. All the movements are completely new to me. I'm trying to learn everything I can so I can do something with it. Jermaine Akogny is a star of Senegalese dance and founded the Dance Academy for students like Eleva. Nora Chipumia, a choreographer from New York, supports her.
There's two women with them. Where they are praying to go home quickly.
The training, which is thorough and professional, takes 3 months of hard work with renowned choreographers from America and France. We are the only centre in the whole of Africa that invites dancers from Francophone, Anglophone and Lusophone countries. We provide scholarships so students can realise their dream of dancing.
Que nous les aidons à affronter leur espoir.
Most of the money for the scholarships comes from sponsors within and outside Senegal. Even if the dancers do have a lot in common, the competition is tough. But social engagement matters a lot at École de Sable. Eleva was considered because of his project with street children. He looks after several abandoned children in the Chadian capital, N'Djamena. He's had to work hard for months to earn their trust. At the dance school, he hopes to get new ideas which he can incorporate into his work. I want to give the children hope. That's my innermost need. I'm not doing it to make money. No, I just want to make the hard life these street children have a little easier. To expand his Street Children project, Eleva needs this training. But first he has to get used to the formal language of African dance. In the École de Sable, many students need to interpret their own traditional dances in a different way.
And finally, we end in Guinea, where a young man has decided to create political awareness and preach peace through rap.
Master X sings for the opposition group Audacity. He's a star in Guinea, but also something of a mystery. In 20 years on stage, he's never shown his face in public. I'm about putting the message ahead of the aesthetics, like my face. It's the message I'm delivering, the message that comes from deep within the mask. He has an audience and intends to use his influence for political means. His group plans a press conference. We're trying to use democratic methods to push this president and his cronies from power. They've done nothing for 5 years. Worse than that, they've been destructive. Many Ghanaians would agree with Master X. The country is politically divided. In the capital, Conakry, supporters of President Alpha Condé also use music for politics, filling the streets with competing messages. None of the governments before now have done anything. It's been standstill for 50 years. But when we compare that period with what Alpha Condé has managed to do, this really has been progress. One thing that certainly has changed, there's electricity around the clock in Conakry now, thanks to a hydroelectric dam. But high unemployment still leaves many young people frustrated and angry. We are a democratic movement. We want to wake people up, shake them out of their lethargy and motivate them with our message of peace and non-violence. It's a message set to music. Master X performs after the press conference. This is in the Bambeto district of Conakry, known for its riots. Master X raps against violence. His is the sound of a movement for a new Guinea. It's the youth of Guinea who are getting involved. They have something to say. We just have to listen. Audace. But this election seems unlikely to bring much change. Pollsters suggest the current government will be re-elected.
That young man reminds me of a Nigerian artist called Lagbaja, who also wore a mask to convey his message. So on this note, I think I should also end the show with a rap. What do you think? So thank you. See you next time on Africa on the Move, yo. How's my rap? Thank you for watching. See you next time on Africa on the Move. Bye.